The Who's today in Sydney were on at Rosehill. Now, we're going to go through today's meeting, two other meetings fairly quickly. There's not a lot to say. As we know, during the week we had a lot of rain. The meeting at Warwick Farm, which was due to be run on the Wednesday, was postponed until yesterday, and it was a fairly minor meeting. So we'll start off with Hawkesbury on Thursday, where the track was upgraded gradually during the day from a heavy 9 to a heavy 8 to a softy 7, maybe even to a softy 6. The rail was in the normal position at Hawkesbury on Thursday, and you could be, I suppose, on the fence coming down the side, but when you got to the turn and into the straight, it was a disadvantage to be close to the rail, and it was much better off the fence. And we did see a runner in what race was it? We did see a runner win race 7. The runner trained by Snowden, by Peter and Paul Snowden, ridden by Jovial Josh Parr in race 7, Rock Milady, who was a very unlucky third at its first start in the race at Gosford prior to running on Thursday, and it absolutely trotted in. It looks like it's a very genuine galloper, and no doubt when it is produced in town next start, it will be very hard to beat. But as I say, at that meeting at Hawkesbury on Thursday, it was best to be off the fence. You could be up near the lead. There were leaders that won, and as they turned for home, they didn't go near that section of ground. And as I say, we had the postponed meeting from Wednesday transferred to yesterday at Warwick Farm, and the track was upgraded to a soft 5 or soft 6, whatever it was, after all of the rain, and it opened up the track started off as a soft 7 or even a soft 6, and got to a little bit better than that as the day went on. And well, it was a little bit similar to Hawkesbury the day prior. You could most certainly lead and win, as did the first winner, Davities. It drew the outside alley. There were 9 runners in the first race. There was a riding tactic change made, and that was Davities was going to be ridden with cover, but after beginning very well, it was able to, after not much pace shown by the other runners, to cross and go straight to the lead, Davities, where we didn't think it would be, but it turned out it was. That's where it sat. After opening up around about the 3-to-1 mark, it got out to $4, $5, a 4-to-1 chance, and came back in to start the favourite at 11-4, about $3.70 or $3.80, and the opening favourite, Briefness, who was track wide, but Horseman Bowman said was very disappointing. It slightly missed a kick. It did pull up lane. It went from $3 to $4.40. You couldn't give it away. Would the owners please step forward? They never ever did. Davities, it got the chocolates, and the Briefness was the opening favourite. It wasn't. The opening favourite was Ranjani, the runner that ran second, but it was also easy in the market and went from $2.90 out to $3.80, and it came off Davities' back and couldn't run it down. The margin was a half a length. And as the day went on at Warwick Farm, well, as I say, you could be near the lead, but it was best to stay away from the fence on the turn and in the straight. And that's what most winners did. You could, as I say, lead and win, but stay away from the fence. We got to Rosehill today, and again, it was very similar. We had a situation where the track was given out a soft 6 this morning, was upgraded during the day to a soft 5, soft 5y, a softy 5. The rail was in the normal position, and riders did avoid the fence coming down the side and into the straight. And very similar to Warwick Farm and to Hawkesbury the day prior, you could most certainly lead as they did. The last winner led, Mardy led and won, but but stay away from the fence, because even coming down the side, leaders were avoiding that section close to the fence, and it was obviously the inferior going close to the fence. And as I say, I'm repeating myself here, but out wide a little bit better. The first race, well, we saw the only runner that had the start and a number one against its name, and that was Vancouver, trained by Gay. It didn't lead. Vancouver sat back in a field of 6 in 5th position, and it ran down the leader. Outreach, the opening favourite, it was a bit easy in the betting, but back towards the end of the market closing, $2.80 out to $3.20, back, or $3.30 even, back into $3 or $3.10 when they jumped. And also Mahawib was very well backed, another first starter, from after opening up 5 to 2, $3.50 out to $3.80, back into about $3.20, hard to get it to finish. They started first and second pick, and the captains couldn't reach quick enough for Gay's runner, Vancouver, who went from $3.70 out to $5, and it was a good result for the bookies because there were no takers for Vancouver. The second horse here, who Vancouver ran down and beat by 3/4 of the length, Outreach, who led, as I said, pulled up lame, fairly lame, and also had shifted the plate, but also had now, after further inspection by the vet, the stable vet, it also fractured its pelvis. So that may be no rap as a form reference for this race. Race 2, this was won by the second pick, Cool Ring, who was stepping up in distance today to 1500, given a beautiful ride by Jay McDonald. I suppose anyone who backed the favourite, Countryman, they would be saying that they should have got the cash. There's a very good chance they did. At one stage, when Countryman was in the 1-1 position, You'll Never had moved up on its outside, and also after You'll Never had made a mid-race, or coming down the side, a mid-race move ridden by Bold Blake Shin, all of a sudden, who was it? Jay McDonald. No, what am I talking about? Ty Aglin on Countryman found himself in an awkward position, and he had to shoulder his way clear. When he did, McDonald on the winner, Cool Ring, and got a beautiful split. Well, a beautiful split. He could have driven, as the saying goes, a double-decker bus through the beautiful split. There was a mile of room, and he, after sitting behind the leader, and the leader getting off the fence, and that was Spacecraft turning for home, so they were out in that little bit better section of ground. He was able to go through that split and get a little bit of a break and hang on and win, only by 0.2 of a length from the runner that came from last, and slightly held up when going for a run, Timeless Prince, ridden by Miss S. Clinton, and only going down by that margin, as I say, 0.2 of a length. And the favourite, Countryman, well, it was beaten 0.4 of a length. The rider said, yes, well, I was held up, and maybe I should have made a move before You'll Never came up and put me in the pocket. It's easy now, but he said Countryman's run did peak at the 50-metre mark. And after I have watched the replay a couple of times, and I sort of tend to agree with him. Race 3, well, here we saw the favourite beat the second favourite. No, what am I talking about? The favourite, the equal favourite. What am I talking about? The equal favourite, or even the second pick here. What am I talking about? I am going crackers. Well, the opening favourite won the race, and that was Marty. And we put it up a 5-4 chance, 5-4 the field. We all knew, we've all commented how the rider erred last start by not going to the lead or taking off when the pace was fairly slack, as trained by Ione the lead gay, and it was we've all commented about how the rider of the winner of that race, Jay Parr, had stole a march on terrific Tommy Berry. But today, ridden by Winona Constant, she went straight to the lead and was 3 or 4 off turning for home. On its outside was the favourite, and that was Palazzo Publico, who was extremely well backed. Now, you wouldn't see it in the flux like a Ding Dong Dell. I gave $4 in the outside ring, but I did see $4.60. Now, you wouldn't see that in the flux. And it was back from $4.60 into $3.10 or $3.20. Very hard to get. $3.10 it started. Palazzo Publico, who had won its last 3 starts, starting off with a maiden win at Wyong and 2 previous city wins. It set outside the lead. Marty, which was the map that most people had in their hands, and moved up to Marty after they'd flattened out, but dropped off the last little bit and wasn't really fully tested the last few strides by its rider. And coming from back in the field, or what am I talking about back in the field? From off the winner's back was Adorabile, the third pick in this race. It was opened up a 7-2 chance, $4.60, got out to $5, back into about $4.60, back out to $4.80 at the end of betting. Bold Blake Shin, he could manoeuvre to the outside of Marty because Winona, what's this girl's name? Winona Constant had eased to the middle of the track, and she said, "Now, Bold Blake Shin, if you want to pass me, you're going to have to come up on the inside of me." I thought at the furlong there's a good chance, after seeing their last runs where Adora Bell made up a lot of ground on Marty, that I was saying to myself in my melon that yes, Adorabile might be able to get past this, but Adorabile wasn't able to, and Marty kept on fighting down to the line to beat Adorabile by 0.3 of a length. And after sitting 3 wide all the way in the run was Holy Delusions running third, and it weakened to run fourth, as I say, beating 3.4 lengths Pazlo Publico. Now race 4 came along, the Widden Stakes, and we saw a situation here where, well, there was one tailed off, and that was a horse who had pulled up with heart arrhythmia, so I suppose you can forgive it for it. The second last was, it was beaten 18 lengths. The second last horse was beaten 5.7, but there was only 1.9 lengths between the other 7 runners in this race when they hit the line, and possibly if you ran this race again, you would possibly mark the first starter, Lady Geneva, the favourite. And I thought the reason being, it sat 3 wide on a limb all the way, was able to get past them after they flattened out, and the winner and the very unlucky last start place getter Fireworks more or less came off its back and beat it by 0.2 of a length on the line. And there were a couple of other good runs in the race. It came from last through the middle of them. Mikuchi, $26 chance out to 31, back into actually about a $16 chance, $17 chance, 16 to 1 out to $26, back into 21 chance. it ran a good race, making up ground from back in the field. But as I say, work it out for yourself. Have a look at it. Lake Geneva was possibly the best run in this race after sitting 3 wide all of the way. I've done a very quick market again after watching it a couple of times at the track. I'll readjust it after I watch it again tomorrow. But I came up, I said to myself, if you run this race again, it would be the 7-2 favourite, Lake Geneva. The favourite in this race, Julietta, well, we put it up 6-4. We got it out to 9-4, $3.20. It came back in and started $2.90. And of course, well, it's easy now, but it was an optical illusion when it beat the team of, well, it's a jackrabbit itself, and there were plenty of runners in that race when he did win at his first start at Rosehill that more or less didn't take, especially the runner of Paul Snowd's, that more or less didn't take any part, and I thought it was in the hospital, Julietta, and well, as it turned out, I think after seeing the race, most probably people would agree with me. Race 5, we saw the favourite win here, Sarajevo. It was only beaten a 40-1 chance by 0.8 of a length, who ran a very good race coming from last position, going through the middle of them after they'd eased off of, were well off the fence turning for home, and they raced down the middle of the track in the straight. Sarajevo, well, going straight to the front in this race was zestful, and it finished up running second last, beaten 9.9 lengths, went terrible. Well, it did pull up with a poor recovery rate. On its outside was Susuko, who was backed as much as $21 given, and he started at 17. Getting a good run was Air, who was extremely easy in the betting. Air, it went from $6.50 out to $16 at one stage, back into about $13 towards the end of betting. It had every possible chance. Mr. Bogart, the second pick, every possible chance, sat behind them on the pace, ran fourth, beaten 4.4 lengths, and sitting in fifth position was the favourite, and pushed along. And Jay McDonald, he did flick it down the shoulder a couple of times at the 600, 700 metre mark to keep its mind on the job, but its class prevailed, and it was a little bit too strong. But as I say, the second horse came from last, sworn to silence, and ran a very good race, and it came from, well, it was sitting on its outside the second horse, Aeneas, who's not very big. Aeneas, Anya's, it's not very big, and it was also very well back from $21 into about $13 at one chance. So it was at one stage 20s into 12s, got back out to start $15 towards the end of the betting. We put it up evening money, evens on the field, we said. It was even Sarajevo. We got it out to 5-4. 5-4. We offered the cap, the Grumble and Grunters. Came back in to start evening money when they jumped and got the chocolates, and the Grumble and Grunters cheered. We saw race 6 win run, and it was won by Weary. A bit easy in the betting, Weary, although the $8, if you had it up towards the end of the betting, I was filthy. A captain backed it back with me at $7.50 towards the end of betting, and took all of that beautiful cream off the race. Opened up $5.50. Bookies reached for him very quickly out to $8. Came back into start $7.50. Fairly hard to get. It was near the fence down the side, but when they swung for home, as the leaders, who were Dre Fontaine, on its outside, Thermal Current, who ran a fair race, and outside those two runners, trapped 3 wide, who is now going from a spell, is That's a Good Idea, who finished up running last. And when they swung for home, of course, the leaders avoided the worst section of ground in defence, and it got a good suck up behind them. Weary, ridden by Tommy Terrific Berry, and with that whip action he's got now that looks like a big, long, loping clip as he clips their backside and gets his rhythm up. Tommy, terrific. All forgiveness, Tommy. You're a champion rider. Uh, he was able to get Weary up on the inside of Dre Fontaine, ridden by Bowl Blake Shin, trained by I Own the Lead Gay, to beat her by point 0.1 of a length on the line, and the very well backed, um, um, or no, well, so what was backed for a good bit of money at long odds territory at $15 or $16. It ran third after sitting getting a nice card up behind That's a Good Idea. It had every possible chance, and it more or less had its chance. The second favourite, Panzer Division, who was resuming, the only 3-year-old in the race, of course, against the older horses. It had its chance, loomed up at one stage as if it was going to run into it, but wasn't able to finish the race off. It was only beaten 1.2 lengths. It ran a fair race, but its run peaked. No more for the Avery, please. But as I say, it got up on the inside, Weary, off the fence, getting her sucked up, and nabbed Dre Fontaine, who stuck on very well to grab it on the line. Race 7 came along, and here we saw Sounds Like get home, the second favourite. It was able to, well, it was back in 6th position on the fence, and as I was coming down the side, when they started to get off the fence a bit, Sounds Like's rider, the greyhound, straight out of the box of Serge Lisney, was able to get off the fence, and when it was up on its outside, Dream Folk, who finished up running third, had it in a bit of a pocket. It also moved up for a couple of strides, Gosh, who finished up running, golly gosh, it finished up running second. I know a bloke, instead of saying every now and again when you look like you're going to unfortunately say the F word, he doesn't say the F word. He says golly gosh, and I tell you what, he's an absolute champion. Anyway, it held on for third, Dream Folk, after trying to put the winner in a bit of a pocket, which it did, and the winner lost his momentum for 1 or 2 strides. But when it wound up, it was far too strong for the favourite, who was Gregory Aeroplane, who had and was given the perfect run by Bowl Blake Shin in 4th position, 1 out, 1 back, eased off their heels prior coming to the turn, just ambled up, got past them, and anyone who was on it, and the captains who had laid it, were feeling god darn sick, and the grumble and grunters who had backed it, they were feeling nice and happy. But unfortunately, just that last furlong, when the race was well and not over, unfortunately, Sans Alike, it finished far too good for the favourite Gregory Aeroplane, and beat it by a length and a half. And as I say, Dream Folk held on for third. They beat the others out of sight. Race 8 came along, the last race, and here we saw the emphasis I've been putting on how it was an advantage to stay off the fence. Ridden by Bowl Blake Shin, we saw Oxford Poet, who was extremely well backed. We put it up the 7-2 equal second pick. We put it up 2-1 favourite Alias. Now, I don't know what the SPs are about Alias. I was $3.60 when they jumped, and finding it hard to lay. Went from $3 out to $3.60, and Oxford Poet, after opening up $4.60, equal second pick with Lorna May, 7-2 bar, and it got out to was plenty of $6.50, Oxford Poet, but that new pro I told you about, who was fair income jumping at the heels of our number one pro. Fancy our number one pro betting fixed odds with the filthy cancer of racing of a Saturday. Is he stark raving mad? You can get on for plenty at the track, more than you can get on with that filthy cancer of racing. I can't understand, but not only get on for more, but we're offering better odds. I know I won't go into it, but I know there are two or three runners in the, or not, what am I talking about, two or three runners, or two runners in the first race alone. If he would have been on the track, I guarantee he would have backed them late in betting with the filthy cancer of racing, and we were offering much better odds on the track. We were over the fair, and he'd be looking at the fair saying that of course the filthy fixed odds to the tab, they're looking at what we captains are offering on the track, and they're looking at the fair as well, and they're looking at what the pari-mutuels are paying, and they're just adjusting it along, and they've got their ledgers when they jump. They bet big and round, and they win £1 million. They bet over round. They bet over round. Oh my God, what it is. It's a license to steal, and you think they haven't got all of the race clubs by the Niagaras. Oh my God. They can give them a little squeeze whenever they want. In this last race, as I say, the the new kid on the block, he backed this for a lot of section from $6.50, and like a bludger at the finish of betting, they even took the $5 off me, which I shouldn't have had up, and well, I won some section on the race, but I would have liked to have won a bit more. Anyway, it was taken straight to the lead by Bold Black Shin. Up on the south side was nothing like Luca, who was always going to go forward from that alley and always races near the lead. And getting a good suck right behind them was Alias from barrier one, but they were always well off the fence. And when they turned for home, Bold Black Shin, he was a jury. Oh, he was a jury. The 18 pence was no good, and he stayed in the middle of the track, and he'd had a good kick. And at the 50 or 100 metre mark, he put a couple around each backside to make an absolute bird of it. And it won by 1.8 lengths. Who did it beat? It beat the second. It beat the third pick. And that was Lorna May, who was resuming. It drew barrier two, but was always off the fence, and it ran a nice even race. As I say, beaten 1.8 lengths, and coming from third last, in between runners, was the very well backed by the new kid on the block. New kid on the black. That'll tell you how much pen and ink I've had. This is, as you can see, there's only just a little tiny drop in there, and I'm about to take the top off the second bottle of the Kembla Grange. Hang on. How do they make this stuff so cheap? Anyway, it came through the comics, Magic Dallas, to run third, and the new kid on the block was on it for an absolute poultice as well. But he filled the bag again, threw it over his shoulder, and out he went merrily, after backing that last winner for an absolute shitehouse fall. Anyway, that was the meeting. The favourite in that race, Alias, had every possible chance. The runner that was closest to the fence in the last was Black Revolver, who had barrier 11 and finished up, well, it came in a few. It came in one, or what's the difference, whatever it did, came in two, came in three, had barrier 8, but found the 18 pence and was close to it. It finished up running fourth in that race, in the worst section of the ground. That was the meeting. Now there's a stack of meetings on tomorrow, and all those beautiful. There'll be the crowds will get to these meetings tomorrow to have your face painted wherever you do and whatever happens. And then on Monday and Tuesday, I think we've got Warwick Farm on Wednesday. Try and not get involved in these meetings during the week. Stuff the TAB, the Totalisator Agency Board, the cancer of racing. Remember it. Good evening.